Hey, everybody, welcome into GoBlueRaiders.tv. We once again are in the Ascend Federal Credit Union studio, brought to you by our good friends and partners at Ascend Federal Credit Union. Coach Rick Stockstill joins us as we kind of wrap up spring football for 2012 and look ahead to the fall. But Stock, your spring season came to a close with I don't know whether you want to call it a spring game, spring scrimmage, but you ended up having the offense against the defense, and the fans got to take a look at what you guys had been doing during the spring.
Yeah, Chip. I think we had it was a good spring practice. We had 15 good days in there. The weather was really good, and so we got a lot of good work done. And really proud of our team. And I'm meeting with each player individually here this week, and about halfway through it, but I really like the attitude of our team. I thought they're very focused, and I thought we improved offensively and defensively, as well as individually this spring. And the spring game, gave our fans a chance to really, not so much to evaluate how you're going to be offensively or defensively, because you can't tell anything by the last spring practice, but it gives them a chance to see some younger guys that were red-shirted last year and the maturity that they've made and the improvement that they've made. So I'm really pleased and with our team, the mindset of our team when we came back in January to right now. And we just have to finish up this last week and a half of school and go home in May, take a little break, and then come back in June and start rolling.
When we talked right at the beginning of spring practice, you brought up the fact that Matt drills winter workouts, that you made it clear that you wanted a chip on the shoulder of this team and to practice and go through that with that type of attitude. Did that continue on during spring drills?
Yeah, Chip, it did. And I thought this was a very physical spring, and I wanted it that way. And I'm not saying because we got some people hurt. I'm not saying it from that standpoint, because the guys that got hurt were basically in non-contact drills. But it was a physical spring. A couple of our goals going into January were to improve our toughness, both mentally and physically. And I think we did that this spring.
And obviously there was the tempo of spring practice this year. I think there was a visible difference in maybe from a year ago.
Yeah, and I don't know if tempo is the right word, but the urgency. We created a greater sense of urgency, both offensively and defensively. And I want to go fast on offense. I want to be fast on defense. And we play in a fast league. Most teams in our conference are no huddle up tempo leagues, or teams. So we have to be able to adapt and adjust to that defensively as well as offensively. So those were some of the goals that we wanted to get accomplished, and I felt we did.
We'll talk about some players in just a moment, but we talked about, kind of refer back to our pre-spring interview. We talked about the new coaches on the staff, and you brought them in thinking, hey, they're going to be fine, everything's going to be great here, and you worked with them down in the staff room and all that. But for the last 4 weeks, you finally had a chance to be on the field and coach with them, and with Glenn and Matt on the offensive side, along with Buster, having the keys to the offense now, and then with Tyrone's addition on the defense and a couple of moves over there. Did you come away from spring as happy as you were going in?
Yeah, I'm really excited about our staff, and like I said, I've coached with Tyrone before, and I know
he turns up the volume.
What a good coach he is. He's a really good football coach. He's a great communicator. He's passionate, and has really done a nice job of blending in, our whole defensive staff. So, Tyrone's been an excellent addition. And then, I can't say enough about Matt and Glenn, those two guys who have really never worked together before, have never coached together before, and how they mesh together. And there's no ego, that those guys work so good together. And, one play Matt may be coaching, the guards and Glenn coaching the tackles, or vice versa. And just those guys have really meshed and blended in well together. And like I said, there's no ego. And they've our offensive line is better than it's ever been because of those two guys, and I'm really pleased with that. Their energy, their enthusiasm, their knowledge of the game, and our whole offensive staff, like our defensive staff, is really meshed well together. And I know that's going into our players. Our players see how close we are as a staff. That'll only help them become closer as a team.
Yeah, from talk about personnel a little bit, and like you said, half the time what you see in the spring game may not be what you see in the fall. But I think the fans, one of the comments I heard a lot was, boy, there was a little more of the power game out there with a fullback out there some, but different personnel groupings, and I guess that that personality will change from year to year whether there's a new coordinator or not.
Well, not so much on the coordinator, because we're going to do offensively. I mean, the parameters aren't going to change that much. You've got to adjust your offense based on your personnel, and so. We may do some of that. We did a little bit of, two back there, full back deal, but
is some of that just to look at it on film and
just
evaluate?
Just to look at it and see. Yeah, I don't know how much of that will be next year. Probably as much as anything, we did it some just to help our defense, because they'll see it against Mississippi State and Georgia Tech and all that. So we did it more so for our defense than what we're going to do offensively. So try to help our defense a little bit in the spring.
The running game, you are deep at running back.
Well, we've got three guys, in there. Benny and Pratcher have played. Drayton, has yet to play, but all three of those guys are talented. They're all three different in their own way. Benny is probably the most complete. He's stronger and a little bit heavier, where he can also run inside, be the physical guy inside, and he's got the speed to go outside. Where Drayton, I thought Drayton improved, and he should improve, because it's now the first time he's been at running back in a long time, since high school. But he got better as the spring went along. He's got to get a little bit bigger, put on some weight here this summer, and get a little bit more physical. And then William Pratcher is, your workhorse, a downhill runner, not a big speed guy, fast guy, but he's a tough, hard-nosed downhill runner. We played around with Jeremiah a little bit there. We started him out at receiver. I'm not so sure he probably needs to stay at running back.
He's going to be a weapon for you, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's a talented kid. And again, he's got to improve physically. He's got to get bigger and stronger physically, and that'll happen. He's just a freshman, so but he's got a good skill level. He's got some talent that we'll be able to utilize and help us.
At quarterback, Jeff Murphy had the injury, but if there's a silver lining in any of that, it's that you were able to get more reps for your other guys in the game, but you certainly never want to see a guy get hurt. And any idea how Jeff's going to be?
No, and to me, there's no silver lining in Jeff's injury there. It's just unfortunate, especially the way it happened. I mean, it was a non-contact drill. The play was over, and he was basically just turning to jog back to the huddle, and his knee went one way and his body went the other. So it's unfortunate. You hate it to happen to anybody. You hate it to happen more so to a senior like that. But Jeff is an extremely tough competitor, and if anybody can come back from this, it'll be Jeff. So
now you played with an ACL injury. How do you go about doing that?
Well,
especially if it's torn?
Yeah. Back then when it happened to me, it was a year rehab. So it happened in, the Orange Bowl, the last game of the year. So if I'd have had it done, I wouldn't have been able to play my senior year. So I elected not to go through surgery and played on it, and then got it done after the season. So it's I think personally it'll be easier for Jeff to come back from this and play on it than what it was for me, simply because the shotgun wasn't invented back then, and we were under center all the time, and we were taking 7-step drops and all that, and offenses were a little bit different. Now with Jeff being in the shotgun every snap, a lot of it was just catching throws, catching in a quick 3-step drop. We're not asking Jeff to run the ball, that much. So, but he does have to be able to protect himself and avoid pressure. So I think this offense is conducive that would allow Jeff to be able to play with a torn ACL and then get it done, after his season. If he were a running back, if he were a wide receiver, a defensive back, probably wouldn't be able to do it. So
Logan and Sean showed improvement.
I thought Logan had a really good spring. I thought he did a better job of keeping his poise, maintaining his poise in the pocket. He's been in the offense a year. He understands it better now. I think he did a better job of not forcing throws. I think he threw 3 interceptions the entire spring, and that's counting scale and everything there, our team situation. So he did a nice job there. He's still got a long way to go, which is a good thing. And he's got a great attitude. He'll work. He'll come back this summer and study his tail off and work his tail off and be ready to hopefully have a great year for us. And Sean, typical freshman, good day, good play, bad play, but he has a talent. His work ethic is there. He works. He's conscientious. He's not easily rattled. Excuse me. He's not easily rattled. He can take hard coaching. He'll continue to get better. But this summer will be critical for him now with, what's going on with Jeff, the unknown about Jeff, that he's really got to prepare himself mentally as well as physically, because he's a snap of the fingers away from, being the guy.
Defensive side of the ball, like we mentioned, Tyrone and Steve, co-defensive coordinators. Joe Cawthon now has the defensive line. Some general thoughts on how they evolved through spring break, through spring practice.
Like I said earlier, I thought our defensive staff really meshed well. Tyrone did a nice job of doing that. Steve did an outstanding job of, blending in and keeping the ego out of it, which is what you like to see as a head coach. You like to see your staff, get along, because you talk to your team all the time about being a good team player, and it doesn't matter how many catches you get or how many yards or how many tackles, that you just want to win, and that's all that's important. And that's Steve, that's David, that's Joe, that's Tyrone. That those guys just want to win, and it doesn't. You'll get the credit when you win, and that's so. I really like our staff on both sides of the ball, but defensively, those guys have really blended in well. And Tyrone brought his ideas, Steve, David, Joe, their ideas, and put it all together, and making it work. And we're still not finished yet.
And this defense will develop its personality as the year goes along, for sure.
No question, yes.
Now that spring ball is out of the way, and you mentioned a week and a half left in school, exams coming up, then over the summer, a lot of your guys will be in town, I'm sure.
Our players?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll finish up here. I guess school ends a week from today, and then exams start next Friday. But most of them, they'll get out of here the month of May, and then we start back June 3rd. We'll meet that Sunday night, and then summer school starts June 4th. Everybody will be back here for that.
That's Jason spray time, isn't it?
Yeah, and unfortunately, fortunately, Jason will do a great job. Unfortunately for us as coaches, you're not around your team, and that's the sad part about the NCAA rule, that we don't see them that much in the summer, and so you have to rely on your strength staff. But we'll get around our players enough to check on them, make sure they're doing right academically and socially. And then the July session, then we'll have all our signees in then. So we'll have our whole team together there in July, and then we report August 2nd. But summer school doesn't get out till like August 10th or so. So we got about a week and a half in there that, it's still school, it's still football. It's just that's a hard time too there of juggling.
So we may see some practices at some odd times.
I'm sure you will, and just because of having classes, and it's you can't do it like in the fall where you say, all right, everybody be through with your classes by 2:30, and you get started. It's just a little bit more difficult to plan those things in August while school's still going on for a week and a half.
Well, we'll get an update from Coach Stock later on in the summer about how things are going, and we'll look toward the fall schedule, and which begins August 30th. And there are plenty of incentives right now for season ticket buyers, and you can find all that at GoBlueRaiders.com. But fun day last Saturday. It was great to see a lot of new names, and we're certainly excited about the fall. Appreciate the time.
Appreciate it, Chip. Thanks.
All right. Coach Rick Stockstill joins us today as we get updated on spring practice, and you're watching the Ascend Federal Credit Union studio on GoBlueRaiders.tv.